Hi students, this is Professor Tyberg. I hope you're having a great day today. I want to go through this PowerPoint called Thesis Statements, What is the Point? Because you're going to be writing a tentative thesis statement for your research essay. So here we go. But what is a thesis statement? So let's review. A thesis is an opinion that indicates the author's main point by identifying the topic and then a claim, an opinion about that topic. Is a thesis a fact or an opinion? So I gave it away. Very important. A thesis is an opinion. A thesis must be an opinion, or there would be nothing to support. We all agree with factual statements, so they are dead ends to the conversation and the essay you are writing. I wanted to give you a basic thesis template that you might use if you're wondering how to write a thesis. So this may work for some of you. Well, some have argued that blank, and you fill in the blank here with your opponent's view, those whom you disagree with. A close analysis of the research suggests blank, and here you could put your claim, your opinion on your topic. Because blank, and then you give your main reason, your rationale supporting your claim. So that template might work for some of you. If you want to use that, please go ahead and feel free to. So now I'd like to go through a little bit more slowly and talk about how to develop a thesis statement. Well, first, state your topic as a question. And you did this with your research question in your research proposal that you turned in. Number 2, next, turn your question into a position by answering your question. 3, narrow your thesis by adjusting it based on your research. So let's go through those. Number 1, state your topic as a question. Let's say your topic is getting people to eat healthier food. Well, to review, that is not a thesis. That is just a topic. So you need to transform it into a thesis. And to do so, a helpful strategy is first to turn your topic into a question, which will then lead to a thesis. So to turn that topic into a question, here's an example of a question for that topic. Should the government enact laws to regulate healthy eating choices? Next, number 2, turn your question into a position to form a working tentative thesis. So the question was, should the government enact laws to regulate healthy eating choices? Well, answer that question and you'll have a tentative thesis. State governments have the responsibility to regulate healthy eating choices because of the rise of chronic diseases. Now, as you go through and draft your essay, you're going to want to adjust and narrow your tentative thesis based on your research. So the tentative thesis was state governments have the responsibility to regulate healthy eating choices because of the rise of chronic diseases. The revised thesis based on research was, and this was Sophie Harba's example essay in Rules for Writers. In the name of public health and safety, state governments have the responsibility to shape health policies, especially since doing so offers a potentially large social benefit for a relatively small cost. So it's a much better thesis, it's narrow, and she's making a claim. So 5 problems to avoid when writing a thesis. An ineffective thesis may be a question and not a statement. It may be too vague for the reader because of general wording. It may be too broad in scope. It might not be debatable. And it might be too factual. So let's give you some examples, some bad examples of thesis statements. And here's the first one. The first polygraph was developed by John A. Larson in 1921. What's the problem with that? It's too factual. An improved thesis would be, because the polygraph has not been proved reliable, even under controlled conditions, its use by employers should be banned. Here's another bad example. Would John F. Kennedy have continued to escalate the war in Vietnam if he had lived? The problem with that thesis statement is it's a question. It's not an opinion. Make sure your thesis is not a question. An improved thesis would be, although John F. Kennedy sent the first American troops to Vietnam before he died, an analysis of his foreign policy suggests that he would not have escalated the war had he lived. Here's another bad example. A person who carries a genetic mutation linked to a particular disease might or might not develop that disease. The problem is it's not debatable with that might or might not answer. An improved thesis is, though positive results in a genetic test do not guarantee that the disease will develop, such results can cause psychological trauma. Genetic testing should therefore be avoided in most cases. Another bad example, number 4, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial is an interesting structure. The problem is that's too vague, with terrible fuzzy word choice. An improved thesis with specific word choice is, by inviting visitors to see their own reflections in the wall, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial creates a link between the present and the past. And here are my sources, the Siegel Handbook from 2011, and then also our Hacker Handbook that we've been using for this class. So I hope that helps prepare you to write your tentative thesis, and email me if you have any questions. Okay, have a great day.